to women.
If you have access to health care, your doctor then can recommend what are the best next steps for whatever seems to be. It could be lung cancer, which is the biggest killer of women, but access to health care, then access also to treatments.
Because without detection, treatment is not possible.
Today, a hearing on mammography guidelines. Senate Appropriations and a health subcommittee held a joint hearing in February to hear from breast cancer experts about when and how often women should receive mammograms.
The purpose of this hearing, and the title is Making Sense of the Mammogram Controversy. What do women need to know, and what do women need to do? Today we're here to examine the very troubling controversy about the effectiveness of screening mammography. Women are hearing conflicting scientific studies. Some studies say mammograms save lives. Others say they don't. This is incredibly frustrating for American women. Many are confused, exacerbated, and apprehensive, both about breast cancer and now about the information they're getting about mammographies. They don't know what to do, who to believe, or where to go. I'm very concerned myself. I called this hearing to get answers for American women. What should they do? Where do they get the information they can rely upon? We need also, in the absence of conclusive information, I am worried that insurance companies will wiggle out of providing this coverage, saying that it is no longer a mandate for prevention, but a personal option. I do not believe that mammograms should be equated with nose jobs. I do believe that mammograms do save lives, and we need to know when is the best time to get them. Now, there are conflicting studies. Recent works by biostatisticians in Denmark concluded that there is no reliable evidence that regular mammograms save lives. Well, we're now going to turn as our very first witness to Dr. Andrew Eschenbach, who is the director of the National Cancer Institute at the National Institutes of Health.
I think there's another issue that's really been ignored in this debate, and that's the role that mammography has played, not just in improving survival rates, but in improving quality of life for breast cancer victims. And the written statement of Dr. LaFalle, who's the chair-elect of Susan G. Komen Breast Cancer Foundation, shows that because of mammography, tumors have been detected earlier and smaller. Now, that is a huge benefit that I think has been lost in this debate, because options to mastectomies significantly improve the quality of life and allow for a faster and quicker recovery. Can you talk a little bit about how mammography and early diagnosis has impacted quality of life for breast cancer patients?
Thank you for pointing that out. And I think from the quality of life point of view, over and above just the mortality argument, discussion that we've been having, that from a patient's point of view is an extremely important contribution. By detecting cancers earlier, one can then apply therapies that are going to be less mutilating and less have less of an impact on the quality of life, and that in itself is a major goal and objective for us. So I concur completely with your emphasis on that particular aspect of the issue. Along with the millions of women threatened by breast cancer, we at the National Cancer Institute are grateful to you. Grateful not only for your addressing this issue today, but for all the effort you have expended in the past to help make more effective early detection and treatment options available to women. As you know all too well, cancer is a complex disease, and our solutions to this menace are likewise complex, but also deliberate. As scientists and clinicians, we examine, we evaluate, we learn, and we intervene. And through it all, we continue to drive forward toward our goal to save lives and to eliminate suffering. This has been the story with our continuing struggle against breast cancer. Many years ago, we embarked on this journey to save the lives of women with breast cancer by detecting the disease early, when we could apply more effective therapy. Our tool initially for early detection was breast examination to detect a lump. And then in the 1960s, X-ray detection using mammography began to be employed, especially in North America and Europe. And from the 1960s to the 1980s, 7 randomized clinical trials that enrolled over 400,000 women were conducted to determine whether mammography, when it was used as a screening tool in women with no symptoms or sign of breast cancer, would then result in decreased mortality from breast cancer. These data have been subsequently analyzed, examined, and re-examined by organizations like the NCI, the American Cancer Society, the American College of Radiology, the U.S. Preventative Services Task Force, and many others. These reviews ultimately led the National Cancer Institute and the American Cancer Society to together issue a recommendation in 1997 that mammography was beneficial to women in saving their lives from breast cancer, beginning with examinations starting at age 40.
And now breast cancer and mammograms. A Senate subcommittee reviews recommendations following a National Institutes of Health conference. The head of the National Cancer Institute and the Deputy Assistant Secretary of Health and Human Services joined members of cancer prevention groups in offering their views.
Hearing of the Appropriations Subcommittee on Labor, Health, Human Services, and Education will now proceed. Our hearing today involves the issue of mammograms, and on January 23rd, a report was issued by the National Institute of Health Consensus Development Conference concerning breast cancer screening for women between the ages of 40 and 49, with the essential conclusion being that there was insufficient evidence to warrant mammograms for women between 40 and 49. That report was greeted by considerable controversy, to put it mildly. Dr. Daniel P. Kopens of the Harvard Medical School said that the committee's report was fraudulent. Dr. Bernadine Healy, former head of the National Institute of Health, said that she was very disturbed, or at least quoted as saying that she was very disturbed that a group of so-called experts challenged the notion of early detection, saying, quote, "What are they saying is that ignorance is bliss." And Dr. Richard D. Klausner, director of the National Cancer Institute, characterized his response as being shocked at the finding. It was greeted with some substantial concern in many quarters, including the United States Senate, which heard a resolution yesterday introduced by Senator Snowe, and many of us spoke on the floor, including my distinguished colleague from Texas, Senator Kay Bailey Hutchison. And the resolution passed by a vote of 98 to nothing, expressing concern about those findings. When I took a look at the conclusions as they were reported, that there was not enough evidence to conclude that women in their 40s would not benefit from mammograms as a part of routine health screening, the converse question occurred to me, and that is, was there sufficient evidence to conclude that women in their 40s would not benefit from mammograms as a part of their routine health screening? If you put the burden of proof in saying that the medical evidence has to establish a benefit, as opposed to the evidence being inconclusive or in equipoise with a very substantial body of evidence saying that the mammograms are very important, then it seems to me we're allowing the burden of proof issue to dominate. With so much evidence, although perhaps inconclusive or perhaps even in equipoise as to whether it is a matter of benefit. Ordinarily, we have these hearings to find the facts and decide what to do. I would say at the outset of this hearing that I have a fixed opinion on this subject, that women in their 40s ought to be tested with mammograms.